Alrighty, we're ready to go. First round in this best of one. The Amigos taking on the Corinthians again. We'll see who can be able to find this. And now it's going to be the big battle on Nuke. And this is going to be the toughest test right now for the Corinthians, Paladin.
Yeah, a great opportunity to at least build some momentum, though. Get that defensive start. But it'll be the Amigos on the offense, trying to break through. 5 players going outside through this waterfall smoke. Leggy is there to at least try to spam down range, but will not connect any bullets, which means Cutz is up to bat in the locker room. Kind of being boxed in slowly as heavy rotations come down in that lower site, and they want to try and get Cutz out of this area. Area is going to be here to at least fight, but there's Desh to actually chime in alongside him. Shiz has got himself up into heaven and himself a kill as well. I don't know how he's living for this long, but he's managed to stick around for at least as long as possible while retaining that position. But the bomb is downstairs, and Amigos have a lot of space and a lot of options here to go through.
Yeah, this is a really awkward round. It really is. And now Desh able to find these dualies to work.
What?
But look at that. Just within a minute or within a second. There's so many duels, and it's a drive-by with a block. Maybe a little bit more. My goodness, it's down to the 1v1. Dualies now going at each other. Who's going to be able to win this Cowboy Western fight? And there it is. It's going to be a Leomonster to start things off. And, oh man, a scrappy pistol round indeed.
There's not enough ideas flowing there from the Amigos. They were given so much room and so much space. They were getting kills as well, but they were caught between two mines. They had heaven control. They could have wrapped back to the A site, but they also got secret control. And so they were kind of thinking, oh, maybe we can just go down into the lower site. And unfortunately, they couldn't find their way into that lower site, considering that there were a couple rotations. And with that, they're going to have to go on a full save here, with just one deagle on the back of delboNi, who's done some good work, mind you. But it's going to have to really climb up the mountain here with that upgraded pistol.
Yeah, that was wild. That was just crazy. But, I mean, not a lot of investment, obviously. No investment, actually. What am I talking about? Glocks. A deagle. Well, there is an investment. Wow, Paladin, I'm having a hard time. Okay, so there is a small investment. Let's see what they do with the investment. But now Cutz should be able to find this crossing, and yeah, him and Desh are able to get these two together. Nicely done. This bomb's having a little bit of problems across, but delboNi, who other than him, to get a nice deagle shot. He's proven to be pretty lethal with it. Now it's a question if he can find another. He will not, and then MP9 is just going to scrap in some coin, and there we go. Corinthians are starting things off nicely with a nice 2-0.
Nice little triple there for Cutz to get on the MP9 as well. You know, you would love to have that economic boost earlier on rather than later. Just give them a chance to play this round number 3 with a bonus, then move into that next round if they need it to have a full investment going in. And kills like that to come in for Cutz is huge. So honestly, just net positive there in the eco for the Corinthians. And now it's going to be really up to ZQK to call a couple good rounds in a row in these gun rounds. Otherwise, as I said before, that momentum is going to spill over, and the mountain will get quickly taller and taller for them to overcome.
No, definitely. And I mean, that's the thing too, is I mean, the first rounds are going through for the Corinthians, which is great, but this is an improvement than what we saw before in their CT side, which was on the other best of one on Anubis, where they were barely able to get anything moving on the CT side. Very different map, obviously, but it's good to see that they've kind of taken that time to, you know, look a little bit more confident in the fights. It came down to a scrappy 1v1. But, I mean, the fact that they took a pretty convincing second round is a good thing, too. Just that money is flowing. The economy doesn't have to take too much of a hit. But I am going to be curious what we're going to see from the Amigos in terms of their first gun round strat on the T side. And, I mean, we know a lot of teams like to abuse the outside and get that control. And I haven't really seen a lot from Corinthians yet just to see what they want to do to contest that secret control or anything. But I think that's going to be a really key point right now to see how they can start this game off.
Thing is, they like to call very slow defaults, especially on a map like Nuke. And my problem with that is that does give a lot of time and a lot of space to the Corinthians to have the proper rotations. I'm looking at players like Pyria to potentially speed things up and allow for them to get map control as fast as possible, and then really make that decision at the 30-second mark rather than at the 25 or the 15-second mark, where they're trying to make rash decisions and they have to go into uncleared corners, and that it has come back to bite them previously. So I am looking to players like him again to really make this team a little bit more flavorful, and I think that he's already showed it on Anubis, where he can change the complexion of these rounds pretty much instantaneously. But you do have to give him the space and you do have to give him the resources. So I'm very curious to see how the game plan is changing on Pyria's in the lineup, especially on a map like Nuke.
Yeah, and I think we talked a little bit about this before for Anubis as well. I mean, we were kind of talking about the ops and what like full effect that can come in, and I think Desh did have those moments of, you know, getting good picks and things like that and winning some duels. But I really do hope we can see a little bit more out of him today for this one and this separate best of one in the Nuke. I mean, not an easy map necessarily to op on. I think the CT side obviously is a very different story than T side, but I mean, I will be curious to see how much we're going to see the big green out here for Nuke. I feel like it's kind of a mixed bag in my opinion. I feel like some teams, they can utilize it on the T side, and sometimes teams are like, you know what? Nah, let's just go straight rifles with full utility and we'll just get control that way.
I mean, we've seen teams like Cloud9 try to make that happen. They've played Nuke a couple of times and they've tried to make the 5 rifles work, and we've seen how it works at the top level of the competition. So it has been a huge problem, and we see that the best Nuke teams do have that flex of a big AWP to give them a lot of control. Even look to players like Sunpius on the Falcons, where they're going through their own issues and still he's able to have such a huge presence outside. And that level of competition and then that kind of idea applies all the way down to the South American region as well, where that strong AWP presence, things outside get very difficult for the team. They can't actually scale it to health control, they can't get base control either, and they're gonna have to really go into these fights fucking wounded. And not enough manpower to potentially extend these rounds.
And already Leggy taking some big damage already. Down to 69, so starting things off. A lot of utility being burned already from the CT side. A lot of mollies placed here. Migos kind of just waiting things out. AKs with the Galils on the board now. Losing a bit of that utility, but they still have plenty of Molotovs. Smoke wall is going to come through, but instead they're going to bombard through the squeaky, but Leggy does find himself one, inflicting some good damage on the SC or SHZ. And now it's a question of going to be if Cutz can be able to find this timing. This could be huge, and there it is with 2. Make it that triple. A nice cleanup, leaving it to a 2v1. The Amigos now down by 1 player. delboNi needs to come alive. He still has a minute left on the clock, but he doesn't have the bomb paladin, but he does have some room to work with. He can take his time if he wants.
55 seconds, as you said, does have all the time in the world, but with no utility, there's the chance for the Corinthians to just set up a nice little crossfire around this bomb and get the job done. How much time delboNi's spending on this clock here? It's going to get really difficult for him to really suss out the angles on the A site, and he's going to have to take some unfavorable duels. Continues to rot away, and eventually delboNi's going to have to make a sound cue. Hasn't done it just yet. 20 seconds now, and actually the MP9 of ABR is on the other side of the A site. They're just waiting for that sound cue to come in and picks up the bomb, and there it is. ABR will swing for me, and delboNi cannot get the job done. A little too much time being taken on his advance, and as I said previously, just too many risks being involved in that 1v2.
Well, and we talked about, you know, the stats for these teams, and there's, you know, the asterisks that we said there's a lot more to consider. It's not just, you know, flat out the full stats that you see on like HLTV and things like that. But I mean, this is historically not the best side for Corinthians, right? I mean, CT side actually is about a 27% win rate. But I mean, the fact that we're actually seeing them look comfortable and actually winning fights and having good positionings with the trades is something we didn't get to see fully on Anubis. So this is a good note for them right now, but it is just going to be Tech 9s for the Amigos. It looks like they're just going to try to run into this hot. Leggy now does find it. That nade is just so thick. And yeah, a bit of a speed round. There we go, 4-0. And okay, we've been here before, Paladin, but let's see. Can it maintain to be that long?
It definitely feels like they have a couple bits and bobs of more replicable rounds. Their upper hit looks good. They're able to hold down out to outside quite well. And Amigos are gonna have to be quick to find a new response. Opportunity now to get back into the game. It's gonna be a tougher comeback than that of what Corinthians did on Anubis, where the money was a little lax. This time around, Corinthians' business is booming. With that, there's a chance for players to start taking a couple risks, right? Desh goes down to 50 HP, but the EBR is going to try and stick around here. But Desh does eventually go down. And now, more risks are going to have to be taken by the Corinthians if they want to pull back this man advantage.
Man, that was so sick, though. I mean, the fact that they threw the smoke that was shallow and then the molly that just went a little bit deeper. So Desh couldn't even do anything at all. And this guy's just been living the flames, man. Like, he just can't seem to escape the fire. So it's just a little bit of a problem for him. But the op's still in the rotation right now. Leomonster does have this in his hands. But it's a question of being, what can he bring to this? But, oh, that's an interesting one. Cut's actually giving away his position. So sitting on back of the secret stairs, throws the molly. The nade just going to do a bit of damage, but he is going to be joined here with his comrade. They might not expect a double player here. This could change things a little bit here for ABR if they decide to go down this.
But they've pumped the brakes here. They did. They're trying to go outside and get a little bit more control, but look how much time is being routed up the clock. This is the issue that I've had with Amigos in previous D sides. They're trying to just drain a lot of the clock, and it's going to force them into this awkward situation. Luckily, they've gotten picks across the shop, and it's only Leggy standing up in this, and I think they've found out his position. They're going to flash him into the angle. Sure, Leggy gets one, but it should be all she wrote. He'll get banged through the hut walls, and the Amigos will get themselves their first round, but a very dicey situation there in that mid to late round.
Yeah, that was really good. I think the utility was the big difference maker for that round 5, right? I mean, like we said, like Desh was trying to put that op to work, but he was already down to what, like 50 something HP. He didn't see a single person, and that was the thing. They were able to just find these duels one by one, which kind of, you know, backfired on the Corinthians. But again, the money's there. They spent everything they have, so all the dollars are spent. You can see $6,300 was spent for Desh with that AWP plus the armor. Now they're just going to bombard into Squeaky. Furia does get the first starter, but it's a good quick trade back again. But the Amigos now trying to turn things up a little bit more. The spice is starting to come through. Now they kind of hold off again. They kind of toy with an idea and they backpedal on it.
Already that dynamic style there from Furia, opening things up, making it a doable 4v4. I'll always favor the T's in these kind of situations. And now as the dust settles, there will be no outside presence for the Corinthians. And with that, ABR is going to have to kind of shoulder peek here and essentially give away secret control. So Amigos have got that, and they can potentially extend the map control into the ramp side as well. We're looking at more of a ramp lean here, a B-sided lean for the T side. And it's up to the Corinthians to start taking back this map control. Instead, they're actually going to opt away from it. They'll just leave a late lurk downstairs. And again, a lot of options for Amigos, and I think they're going to opt in for that upper side instead.
Yeah, they only have 35 seconds remaining too, so I mean, they got to get moving. And the utility's starting to be depleted here. They only have a flash remaining. Good one coming in from fast, but delboNi's getting these trades, and now Leomonster just sitting in the back of the silos, being a problem, a thorn in the side now, so leaving it just down to ZQK by himself with an AWP. With this little time, this is not an easy thing to do. He could go down the vent to get this bomb down if he wanted to, but looks like he's going to try to contest for this, waiting for the smoke to dissipate. Not an easy one, and now he gets spotted. He does get that quick scope. Oh, I don't know what we're seeing here. Running out of bullet ammo.
Oh, he might have the plant.
And he might... Oh, he just got it. I can't believe it. He was just on the last second able to find it, so now he reloads the op, missing the first. He's only got one more bullet left in the chamber. Desh now putting pressure on him, and he misses it again. And somehow Corinthians, they're going to be able to bring up another round through a scrappy brawl.
Oh my goodness, just such a painful round there from the Amigos. You have a player down on the lower site. You have a chance to potentially go into ramp where there's only one player to greet them. That to me feels like a clear-cut idea to just split into the lower bomb site, but instead they decide to overcomplicate things and try to send SHZ up the vents. He goes basically to his death at that point, and then they just streamline in one by one into Leo's crosshair. Sure, ZQK pulled that round to a potentially close 1v1, but it shouldn't have really ever been that close, and Desh secures the round where I honestly think that the Corinthians were going to be favored largely. I think Amigos are taking way too much time, and they're just overcomplicating every round so far in this offense.
Yeah, and that's funny because we talked about that before on the first BO1 too, is, you know, teams are kind of overcomplicating things, and then once everything got kind of more simplified, it looked a lot different, right? It looked a lot better. So I do agree. I think Amigos are kind of not looking the same form. They seem like they're kind of overthinking, overanalyzing every single round, and they've come close in these, like, you know, 2v2s or 1v2 situations, but we'll see what they can do a little bit differently. Still plenty of time left in the first half. We're only in round 7. It's a 5-1. MP9 here going to be for Leggy. Cut's going to be able to have that molly deep into Squeaky, but instead the Amigos actually, Paladin, they're going to go right towards red. Some good utility pushing back a little bit. Smoke's going to be put back through, so they don't have to worry about it getting popped. Oh, are they going to get this timing? Oh man, that nade was just way too premature.
Great patience there from the Amigos to allow for no bullets to really come down, and a rotation down, but triple setup down in this lower site now. There's an opportunity to just potentially eradicate this lower presence from the Amigos. And it's just a matter of timing. Are they going to try to actually extend in? Flash, Molly as well. And SHC is caught between a rock and a hard place. It's just a matter of swinging. There it is. Leggy gets his. And into the 5v4. So a lot of time and space being given to the Corinthians as 50 seconds are only left on the clock. And Amigos have got to start to make moves. And again, they're just so spread out.
Yeah, there's still quite a bit of time, but again, this is where they have to make that decision, like you said. And now delboNi is going to be able to drop from mini. He actually does cross, so ABR doesn't get any information. Now they're going to group up towards secrets, so they're all together, the last 4 of them, so they're going to be grouped up with the bomb. This will be a test here for Leggy. He's in a pretty interesting position because he can get this frag, he can retreat this. Oh, and he actually doesn't even win the fight. He does a ton of damage, but it's just not going to be enough. So now these T's are going to be able to get into this lower site. Desh in the flames again. I feel like I've said that 1,000 times, but it's still going to happen. He's down to 40 and leaving it to a 4-on-4 situation. Cuts right now coming through the side door. He might be able to get this timing, waiting for his teammates to throw some utility. Could be a thing. And he can pop this out if he wants to. delboNi able to find another one. Does the element of surprise, able to find the double, leaving it just down to a 2v2. Things are getting a little bit worse for Ware, and finally looking like this could be just so scrappy again, but the Amigos somehow in some way, they find a second.
And even in that situation, it felt like the Corinthians had the right answer, but finally the individuals bailed them out of a sticky scenario. I still feel just very uncomfortable with how long they're taking down the lower site and leaving players outside high and dry. It's something that can be punished upon, but it doesn't matter what happens at this point because the Corinthians are in a force buy situation. In that double eco territory, pistols across the board, and the Amigos have a chance to rectify the mistakes they've done in this half and potentially confirm basically 2 in a row if they can navigate this. Desh is up close and personal with this 5-7. And it's just a matter of whether or not the Eagles want to clear this. Great movement there from Bassin. And Leomonster cannot be there to trade. Things are looking good here for the Amigos to potentially get themselves a trade.
Let's cut. Oh, that is scary. Oh, that is so scary. I don't know how he got out of that. Okay. A little awkward. It works, though. 21 bullets still in the chamber. Gets a lot of information, though. He can hear all these T's running back outside. So this is good information. Corinthians could go back for the ramp stack. Instead, they're going to keep on pressing. This is terrifying. What is going on? He's about to get a free kill. I can't believe this. And a free AK picked up here. Fury able to find these double, but finally gets down. This is still a 3-on-2, and this is an advantage for the Amigos still, but it's not looking great. Double AK's picked up here. There is armor here for the Corinthians too, so we don't have to worry about the aim punch.
Yeah, but the problem is the bomb has been planted in the lower side, and they fully invested in this, and they've gotten at least a little bit of a silver lining to save these AK-47s and Kevlar as well. And they can do so. So they'll back up, they'll rescind Amigos their third, and Corinthians will at least have a little bit of opportunity between Cutz and Leo to push them into some more aggressive spots moving into round number 9. But until then, the Amigos will be very happy to pick themselves up their third, navigate the force buy, keep 3 players up as well. And perhaps they can just make a half out of this still.
Terrorists win.
Oh boy. Well, we talked about, you know, bringing things back, having a big lead, and now it's starting to get closed a little bit more here, Paladin, and that's the thing. The Amigos are slowly doing a good job here to make that gap smaller and smaller, but I don't know what we're going to expect here. Double AK is being saved, which obviously you mentioned is great, but what do you want to work around with these? They do have the 5.7s. Not going to even commit to the armor either, which I think is probably a good call, just keeping that money around that 2,000 mark for a good buy. But man, this is a lot of pressure for Leo and also for Cutz. They have to be able to utilize their teammates to go for big frags.
And they could operate as they did with Pyria on Anubis, where they would swing these pistols in for just dying and giving space to those rifles to trade and play that trade game accordingly. But they're actually going to just prime Leo into the back of Big Red instantaneously. But this type of a position has a bit of a timer on it. ZQK has got the sight lines. Leo's going to continue to push the issue, and there's the spot. The shoulder beak is sublime from ZQK. Quite privy to plays like that. Fastin is going to try to get a little cheeky. Sorry, Leggy rather is going to try to get a bit cheeky around the smoke, but again, Fastin is there for the trade, and that leaves this singular AK-47 in the top sight. And Cutz can't really get involved at this point. Amigos have the world at their oyster, and I think they're pretty much teed up here for their fourth.
Yeah, I think so too. And I do like the idea that Leo was trying to put that AK to work, again, trying to be the difference maker to make, you know, a big impact play. But I would love to have seen a teammate with him to maybe try to go for that trade opportunity. But I mean, this just put Cutz as the only player here with the AK, like you said. Still 45 seconds remaining, so now they're going to switch things up here. The Amigos, they're actually going to go all the way around. They're going to go back outside, so they're sitting in yard, and they're going to group up together. And surely not they're going to run into this connector. Surely not, right? No, Fastin's going to go lower. He should be able to get this intel. But man, this could be an opportunity. Cutz is in a top position, though. This is not easy, but he's able to get that one, but it's only one. Oh, no. That's the next rifle removed. Not an easy thing to see here, and I think, yeah, like you said, the Amigos, they're lining up pretty nicely for a fourth.
Absolutely. There it is, locked and loaded. ABR has that lone 5.7, trying to get himself an exit here, but the Amigos have completely shifted the dynamic of this game. Sure, they've had some issues regarding the time, but they've still found a way to route themselves a couple of rounds, snap that CT economy. And now the Corinthians will finally have a buyout. It feels like it's been ages. And all purchased up for ABR. And unfortunately, there won't be an AWP for Dash, who has been far more silent in this game than on Anubis. 26 ADR with that 6 kills. Doesn't really fill me with the most confidence, but they're really going to need him and the tail end here if they want to have a strong half of it.
Yeah, we were talking a lot about Desh, you know, being that player that we were really hoping to see that, you know, could come alive and be able to bring things up. And I feel like him and Leo, you know, they both, in terms of their overall ratings, are sitting at that 0.91. I know ABR is, I think, arguably the highest rated player on this team with a 0.97, but I do think that, you know, Leo and Desh have been those guys that have been able to do decently well in terms of how these games have been going here today so far, but we'll have to see what's going to happen now. And talking about ABR, it does have an AUG out, so that's the first time we've seen that. Always exciting to see what you can find here on the CT side with an AUG.
open for the ramp, and ABR's all will be tested. Leggy is there to potentially, or sorry, Deathrider is there for potentially helping out, but there's ABR's AUG, nearly gets himself a two-piece. delboNi down to just a singular point of help, but at the end of the day, lads, they've gotten themselves a lower bomb site, they've gotten themselves a man-even situation, and the Corinthians are, again, backs against the wall to potentially retake into this lower site.
Yeah, good work coming in here from them to get this control. Oh my goodness. BQK missing 2 shots. Again, that AWP not able to find any sort of a connection. delboNi 1 HP, holding this, the shadow peeking. He's able to get that, expecting another player to come through. Now, it's just bodies hitting the floor. A 1-on-2 situation. Leggy, all by himself, needs to come alive, but it's going to be delboNi to get the nail to the coffin. We're back to a 5-5, and we have now seen almost a deja vu with a lead that has just been crumpled up.
It's so unfortunate because EQK provides the opening with those missed shots for the Corinthians. And unfortunately, delboNi on that 1 health. Consider if ABR had gotten the double with the AUG, how different the shape of that round would be. And instead, the Amigos have run away with this. They have gotten back into the game. They have snuffed out yet another lead. And now are running rampant into this A site.
Yeah, they're not even messing around. They're just going to go right into this. Kick down the door, take the site over. It is a 2v2, making it back to the 1. This is, what is going on? These rounds are just insane. And all of a sudden, with a minute and 28, this is a speed round run. It's down to a 1-on-1 situation. Both players almost identical HP, 46 to 50. Minimal differences, and now rifle going to be picked up here for Leggy. Doesn't want to risk it here. Man, oh man, this is just terrifying. Leggy does have so much utility to work with, though, but look at this positioning from SHZ. He gets the upper balcony. This is huge. Now he's got the high ground, but a player right below him, and Leggy's not there, expecting it, and it's a backstab, and there we go. A 6th round has been gained. The Amigos have, worst case scenario, made this a 6-6 half.
Even in clutch situations now, the Amigos are coming out on top, and the Corinthians just cannot find answers even with the pistols. As you said, at least 6 locked in for the Amigos, and frankly, at this point, they should be very happy. I think they heavily rely on their defense on this map, and the fact that they've netted themselves at least 6 rounds is so phenomenal for them. For the Corinthians, it is absolutely mandatory to get the 6th round, or otherwise, again, we're looking at a very similar situation to that of Anubis. That's a great start from Desh, though.
Yeah, that's a really good start. That's what we wanted to see, right? We wanted to see that AWP being able to win an opening duel like that. Start things off. That's exactly what they need here. It's been desperate times, desperate measures, and now even Leggy able to find himself one too. So he takes a big brunt of damage down to 33, but at least it puts them in a 5-on-3 situation. Big advantage for them. We haven't seen an advantage like this in a little while, but this is where the Amigos now, they kind of just pump the brakes. They just wait things out, figure out their options. This is where they get dangerous because they can look for these 1-on-1 picks. And Corinthians, unfortunately, have been kind of known to go for these swings, so we'll have to see if they can be a little bit more disciplined on this one. Oh, delboNi, look at that. He's right in the smoke, just on the left of this. And he does have that molly to flush out Leo. But Leggy's got a good inkling. His spidey senses are tingling. Oh, look at that shot. What is that? It's like he knows he's there. He's just looking right at him. Obviously can't see him, but this is madness. And there we go. Leo, beautifully done with the reposition. Now they're just swinging through. Uh-oh, Paladin. This is looking a little worse for wear. And there it is. That's going to be a 6-6, folks. That's going to be a tie, and we're going to take that break. We'll see you for the second half. All right, we're back, and we are just waiting for the second half to start here for this best of one. And this has been a, you know, Paladin. I don't know the right word, but it's been interesting. I'll say that.
That's a great word to use to describe this game. The word I'd use is probably chaotic.
Yeah,
Doesn't
that's
really
another
feel
one.
like there's been a real narrative to build in this game because it's kind of been all over the place for both of these teams. But where it sits now is 6-6. The Amigos have a chance to build off of this defense. They've got all the T rounds they've needed, and they're just gonna flood their way into this upper side of the Corinthians. And it's still delboNi ripping heads with his dual Berettas in the back of the site. He gets himself 3 kills in the round. ZQK is there for the rotation, and all that hype is just completely snuffed out for the Corinthians. They get that earlier, the last round of the half, and it just gets ripped away from them straight away.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, right? I mean, delboNi has been somebody that's been so fun to watch just because I feel like when he's got a pistol in his hands, the guy's just a sharpshooter, right? I mean, this is where we saw with the Deagle before, but now we get to see the opening pistol round with the dualies. And the thing that was so cool too is he's actually just going around the silo. Like he was, you know, going left, going right. He was just doing damage to everybody. So it was just like he was just staying alive, just doing a bit of a boogie. And there we go. They start things off. They get that lead back. And Corinthians, they don't get the bomb. So, I mean, they are just going to force up whatever they can. So it's not an easy situation here. They do have the one Galio with the Tech 9s and the P2. Oh, that's a nice nade, though. Leo, he ate that one. Pin hit him right in the tooth.
They're going to try this upper hit again, try to go at delboNi once more, but it's all a ruse. It's all a fake. They want to go into Pyria's A1S, and it's going to be quite difficult to actually dislodge him. Finally, Leo gets one. A significant damage to ZQK, 1 HP to his name. But there's the flank from SHZ. Gets the job done with the MP9. And SHZ with another. Leo goes down. It's just Cutz left up in it. Somehow found his way into the A site. And has a lot of work to do here in the clutch. delboNi's A4 has been clean this game. And even on Anubis. So 8 rounds locked and loaded for the Amigos. It's a complete save for the Corinthians. And I feel like we're just getting deja vu all over again here, Laz.
Kind of feels like it, eh? Feels a little bit of a deja vu moment for sure, but yeah, this is where we're going to just see Deagles and, you know, the light pistol purchase, like you said, coming in for the Corinthians right now. So not much to have an investment on, but again, we can't take anybody out in pistol rounds, especially these Brazilians. They can just do anything they want with a pistol anytime. But it's a matter if the Amigos are going to play this, you know, more tactful and going to be a bit better positioning. The Zeus is out, actually, so maybe the ROPS effect will come in. I don't know.
Well, it's been a delight to see him on the Zeus, and I'm all for people also adapting it in all levels of competition. It makes things exciting. Who doesn't like a little bit of a shock?
Yeah, man. And even I saw that Monacy got that sick one earlier today, too. That was just filthy. Okay, yeah, Deagles. So they're already starting to do something. Okay. Talking about Zeus's, and I mean, there's Deagles to work right now. This is dangerous territory. Ooh, fast and beautiful lineup. Look at that. Double whammy. And he gets a third, too? Whew.
Now, Desh in the 1v3. And at this point, you know, if you can take down ZQK, make these casualties heavy, you'd be happy as far as these purchases go. I mean, there are 2 automatic repurchases that have to come through anyways. So any damage would be fantastic here for the Brazilian Opper. 40 seconds left on the clock. Is going to try to recover the bomb. Perchance try to guarantee himself a bomb plant, but there is players on either side, so it's not going to be an easy test. 25 seconds left on the clock as the chances for Desh continue to dwindle. Unfortunately, ZQK is going to be playing in the back of blockers, so he won't even be able to get that kill. So, unfortunately, I think Desh has made the wrong decision, and the Amigos should be able to get a flawless round here, at least in this one.
Oh, dear. God, he's just committing this. He doesn't want to mess around, but yeah, there's no time to waste at all. So nicely done. 9-6 is going to be the score line, and that plant would have been nice just in terms of extra cash, obviously, but I mean, they're sitting in a good position right now that they can go for AKs with full utility. So this is going to be a good moment right now. I think this is going to be the contention point, because if Corinthians can find this round, this is a good opportunity for them to potentially bring things back and get that momentum a little bit more neutral than the one-sided here for the Amigos, but we will find out. But man, 16 kills right now from SHZ. Been having a bit of a good one so far. Good attempt coming from him, popping open the squeaky, just looking for a little bit of damage. Nothing really going to come to full effect for here. Pops open the smoke just to double check some stuff. Oh, that's so nice.
Ooh.
An ABR takes so much lead.
Great damage there for SHG. He's been a menace so far to kickstart this half. And he's going to try to continue to maintain door control. Up between two mines is the vet. And outside control isn't really going well for the Corinthians. And unfortunately, there's a bit of a gap in that smoke. And Leo jumps right over to give ZQK some cover. There's delboNi as well on the top site. Gets another advantage. It's a 5v3 and a heavily tagged up ABR. Corinthians are stuck in their tracks. 50 seconds left on the clock. And, you know, I don't like to call this kind of a round as a save, but with 40 seconds left on the clock and no route in, no utility as well, I honestly think that this is the best call possible, Laz.
It is, yeah, and it's important to note here too, because Desh was the only one that had a smoke, so they couldn't even, like, if they had double smokes, they could have attempted going outside, maybe getting that yard control again with the smoke wall, but that wasn't even a plan. I mean, they had the mollies and flashes, but it's just so tough, especially when ABR is at 4 HP. Not an easy situation at all. So I think this is the right call for them. I think they need to save this and just keep these guns in the rotation for round number 17. I think this is, you know, it's a tough pill to swallow, but you got to do it.
I continue to run out of opportunities, Corinthians, and all that hard work, that 5-0 start that they had, has just completely been eradicated at this point. I mean, judging from the scoreline, you might not have even considered that Corinthians had that flying of a start. And yet still, they are quite a ways away from making this comeback a reality. Another tactical timeout being taken by them, as they'll make yet another purchase. They will have that as they save those 3 rifles. But as I said previously, this is one of the last few opportunities they have to dislodge the Amigos.
Yeah, I'll be curious what they want to go for in this kind of a situation too. I mean, this is a tough one because, I mean, there's Galeos that are going to be complemented here with the AK, so that's definitely not a bad thing at all. Definitely have that utility here for the outside control. I feel like they should be contesting for secret and trying to get that real estate, because that always is problematic here for CTs. You know, it's like that itch, you just can't get rid of it. It's really annoying. So if they can be able to find that amount of map control this early on, that could make things more interesting, because the CTs are going to have to start guessing and the rotates could be cut off. But we see that they're doing such a great job just, you know, utilizing the squeaky door, opening it up, getting information, smoking it off. So they're just bombarding that one spot. They're not even allowing anything to happen there.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And it has just made a nightmare of a T side here for the Corinthians. They're going to try their hand at it again. They're going to throw the L block smoke this time around to maybe get engaged. But Facet is playing in the front of Big Garage. But finally, Leo goes through that smoke, takes a risk, gets a trade back. And a minute left on the clock. This is probably the best situation the Corinthians have been in all half. They have an opportunity to get secret control now. They can park Leo outside to punish some rotations. And with a triple setup in the upper site, it'll only be Pyria to potentially respond. So, great situation for the Corinthians to potentially get themselves their 7th, but they've got a long way to go. They've got to confirm this bottom site, and they will. Dash has made his way through, and Pyria will not be able to get involved prior to this bomb going down.
Yeah, and look at them. All these players are just on the ramp too, and man, these nades! Oh my goodness! It's just terrifying. It's just raining grenades, and this actually might push them back, and they might just concede defeat. They might just say, you know what, this isn't even worth it at all. They do have the kits, and I was thinking they might have tried to go for something, but I think that just caused a lot more issue for them. So yeah, they're going to keep these guns. It's a lot of investment. I mean, this is armor, triple kits, some utility. So this is definitely the right call. But man, I can't believe Corinthians were able to get that kind of a round in that way.
Yeah, unfortunately, it felt like there was too much of a gamble there from the Amigos. They didn't send Pyria into the site itself. They kept them up in ramp. And that really came back to bite them, not having that lower rotation. I mean, they had SHZ down there as well, and he comes back up the vent. So a little bit of conditioning working out, and that it all, again, it comes down to that secret control. They were able to get secret. They were able to get a little bit of outside. And credit to Leo to take the... To have the cojones to go through that L block smoke, stick it right to Bastion, and now there's an opportunity here for Corinthians to potentially start extending things. They might throw this L block smoke yet again, and delboNi, alongside his counterpart in Fasten, are gonna have to find an answer, and their answer is putting ZQK out here as well with the AWP.
Yeah, we haven't been able to see him find too many opportunities. There is a player that is Cutz just on top of Mini. CQK though, can he be able to find something with this AWP? Oh, Cutz's head is just hiding. Oh my goodness. I don't think he saw him, but he's got an inkling. The nade. Oh, it's thick. Triple C's.
That's max damage. That's max damage.
Oh, that's so nice. Anybody that's an Amigo fan right now, they're going to be loving that. That's just free damage that's inflicted here. Now Fasten has to reposition himself. Oh, I like this. He's really gone for a big reposition. This could be everything. This could change things. He might not expect this, but he whiffs it. Oh no, they both just swing and they win that duel.
Unfortunately, I don't think he was aware of how close these Corinthian members were. And that door swinging out open made so much of a sound cue. But with 40 seconds left on the clock and ABR on this top site, Corinthians are caught between two mines. They want to potentially go onto the upper, but they're making the right decision. They're going back down to this lower site. 30 seconds left on the clock. Spotted out, and now it's DQK's time to shine. He hits the shot necessary, but they've gone flying up the ladder last. They've gotten that upper site. That last-minute decision that they had to make was the right one. And I was saying, you know, maybe going to the lower site was the move, but I like the pulling of the plug there and just moving immediately back to the upper side as soon as they spotted ZQK's op.
Yeah, really good decision making. And again, that's the big difference, right? Like when you can make those quick decisions like that. You were mentioning it before, and it was kind of looking like they might not do it, but they eventually did. And look at that, they just gained themselves an 8th round. Just a quick decision like that has cost them a good round for their favor, so this is great. And now the Amigos again are going to have to just concede defeat for this round. They do have the op still being reserved, so that's a good note with the AK. But here we go again. This is where, you know, we see those leads. They're so big, and then they start to just fall apart. And the money, I mean, it's going to be fine for purchasing. So, I mean, these rifles or the AK and the op should be complemented back. But what do we see a little bit differently? We haven't really seen a lot of outside aggression from them. So I'm kind of hoping they're going to contest that more differently than what we've seen already.
Yeah, I think they are giving a little bit of respect outside. And unfortunately, ZQK's op cannot get involved with that, like... This seems a little bit more proactive, and I do like this. Getting this tight sightline with DQK ahead of these smokes makes things a little bit more doable, but I think his barrel had been spotted, and he gets punished. It's only delboNi now caught between a rock and a hard place outside. At the very least, he'll be able to get some information, but he's got to take down Leo if he wants a round out of this. He can't. Position is noted. Leo doubles up as well. What? Triples up, rather. And now it's just SHG in the back of the site. Corinthians are picking up steam here, Laz. They've got themselves their 9th locked and loaded.
Wow, I can't even believe it, too. It's from a hero play of Leo to come up big with a triple. And this is somebody that, you know, we talked about. He's probably, you know, sitting with that .01 rating. He has some of the highest impact, actually, in the entire team. And there's that impact that I was talking about in the pre-show. Him to come alive like that, to put 15 on the board. Woo-wee. Now the Amigos... They're going to be shaking a little bit in the boots because this thing is a difference of 1 round. And that was a devastating loss. And look at where they're sitting with the money. Pyria is the only one with 4,300. And they have to use their first time out because they know that they're screwed.
Exactly. Exactly. They've got to get the coach on the mic. And they're now between a rock and a hard place. Because, look, the thing is the aggressiveness is there. But you don't have the proper players that are doing it. You have got you're sitting Pyria in ramp, and to me, as an aggressive player like that, I want to get him involved. I want to get him outside. I want to get him into mini or maybe into secret and get him fighting. But instead, you've planted him in ramp, and he can't get as involved because of that. He's really struggled on this defense, and Corinthians can really have their way outside as many times as they want, with players like ZQK and delboNi not being able to rise up to the task. So I don't necessarily know what the switch up is going to be, but maybe, I mean, I don't necessarily love the positioning here from the Amigos, because I don't feel like they're using Piera to the best of their advantages here.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Would be nice to see some different positionings and just a different idea of what they want to do here, because I think Piera has been a little bit more quiet than normal. Fasten does find that quick trade back, which is great. But look at that. I mean, it's down to 3 players remaining. The Zeus is still a question if that's even going to be able to find anything from SHZ, but not necessarily in the deck of cards yet. M4 going to be thrown this oh, I thought it was an AK. It was definitely another M4. So double M4 is being grabbed here for the Amigos. So this is not a bad position to be in, but they don't have armor. So that aim punch is going to be a problem.
Absolutely so. And instead, I think the better call is to just recover this third rifle as well and save. I think that's definitely the better call, and that is what they will do. So an even Steven games here, as the Corinthians have just completely changed the legacy of this game. It's nice to see them fight and scrap with the Amigos, considering how tall of a task it was in and how far down they were to start out this half.
Yeah, and that's what we were wondering a lot, right? Because we were saying in the second half that the Amigos started things off really well, coming in, and then now, I mean, Corinthians have just figured out what they can do to bring these pretty convincing rounds too. I mean, this round, like we say, there's 4 people alive. They've been able to make, you know, the Amigos have to save plenty of time, so they've been competitive, and that's where we were talking about, you know, stats, and we were saying, look, that it doesn't really paint the full picture here, because we don't know what to expect from both these teams into its full force. And we're talking about a tie game now. We're talking 10-10, which looked like the Amigos in the very beginning had this thing, but it's slipping away. That wind is just out of the sails.
And you've got to find that individual play to get themselves activated straight away. Who's it going to be? Because somebody's got to do it. Instead, Corinthians can continue to run away with this half. All this outside control has been just gifted on over to them, alongside opening 5v4s. And this time, Amigos are very willing to sit back, give away a little bit more space. They've planted ZQK in the secret to potentially punish later in the round. And they have players in mini to potentially pounce later as well. Oh, a little bit of a head spotted. And instead, Leo will offer his life up. delboNi's there to punish. And Cut's going to continue to try to push the issue. Fast. Kloss.
Wow.
That's caught outside. And there's delboNi on mini as well. So now, all that hard work being done by delboNi has been ripped away. Man advantage for the Corinthians, and so much map control.
Oh, man. And now making it a 4-on-2. Oh my goodness, these 2 players. What is going on? ABR's just behind the smoke. He's just letting the CT kind of walk right in front of him. So they're just about to touch each other, but he slipped away from this. There's so much control right now from the Corinthians, and this is huge. SHZ does find one on the cuts though, but it's still an advantage right now for the Corinthians, and they're still sitting pretty here with 3. But man, there's a lot of noise being given away. Oh, this Opper's dead. Oh, oh my.
What?
What on earth? This is some like Batman movement, man. I don't even know what to call that. That's insane. And now the bomb's down already again. Oh, this is just problematic. Amigos, I feel like they're gonna have to concede again, unless they can find a duel instantly. But this is some good discipline coming in, Paladin, and I don't think they're gonna give up an inch.
Not at all. ZQK, try as he might, will not be offered up anything despite his heroics in the vents. He'll go charging back up from where he came, back into the spawn, and 11 rounds now the good for the Corinthians, and SHG will not be able to save over his A1S. So
Terrorists
a
win.
lot on the shoulders of the veteran. He hasn't been able to get activated with this op, and it's really costed them outside. That looming presence that I was trying to harp on in the pregame is coming back to bite them. And with only 3 rounds in regulation left to play, time is running out for the Amigos.
Really is. And this is, you know, we talked about this a lot together, and I mean, this is the thing when you have leads and you lose them, this is where it starts to really get frustrating. So the Amigos, I mean, they had such a big lead at one point, they've lost it now. I've lost track of it. They finally get an opening, but a little bit of a nice pulse. ABR able to find 2 more, why not? Molly comes in the back site, gonna get smoked off here. So SHZ sitting in a good position, but look at this, Corinthians, they just pull back. They're just like, you know what? No, we're not doing this. We're gonna change our plan, and they're just gonna go through the smoke into ramp. Oh, this timing could be absolute everything.
Chance now, as Pyria has just left the ramp, and it has come at just an unopportune time for the Amigos. The EQK has rotated down, and if you ever needed a big round here from the vet, it's got to be now. But it said it's going to be SHG to step up big. He gets himself 1, and he gets himself a confirmed second. A 1v3 for Cutz to maintain this lead. Otherwise, it's right back to even Stevens for the Amigos. 50 seconds separates the two.
They're right beside each other. Oh my goodness, and SHZ gets that quad, surviving with 2 HP, and he has just put this round into his own hands. I don't think we've seen a player being able to find a quad kill, I don't think at all, in any of the best of ones, so that's huge. Now he's sitting himself at 22, and they needed it. They needed someone to come up big, pull up the bootstraps, and there we go. Back to a tie game. The Amigos finally show us a little bit of a pulse.
And what a time it would be. Only 2 rounds left in regulation, and really all cards on the table at this point. Another fast upper hit that Corinthians tried in the round previous, but couldn't get anything. This time it's EQK finally getting a big opening for his team, taking down his counterpart in Dash. And now the Amigos have a chance to kind of sit on their haunches a little bit, or let this 5v4 breathe, and maybe, just maybe, they have a chance to put this comeback to bed.
Yeah, that 5-on-4. So, I mean, there still is the advantage here for the Amigos. I know the HUD says something different, but not the case. And now delboNi is in a kind of a weird spot because the smoke is kind of the only thing blocking him off here. Oh, ABR. Oh, no. No way he goes by him. Oh, and delboNi, he gets away with a kill, too? Are you joking? Oh, my goodness. ABR, though, does have a good position. They probably won't expect someone to be there, but he needs to be able to find something now. With this amount of control he's been able to grab. But now...
He's got the bomb.
Yeah, and then this is the thing. Like, they probably are kind of banking on this lower hit.
It's, again, all on the back of ZQK, and he hits the shot necessary. Huge impact from the leader of the Amigos, and now it's mission try to recover that lower bomb site, and they can't. 15 seconds left on the clock. It's only Leo, but he's just so heavily damaged. He's going to recover the AWP from his fallen comrade and try to scamper off in the spawn, but it's a little too late. SHD is hot on his trail. Amigos, shockingly, have gotten to map point first. Corinthians will take their final timeout, but Laz, is this comeback simply cosmetic?
Oh man, I have no idea at this point. You know, it looked like Amigos just kind of lost control of this. They weren't able to find really any like big moments for the big kills and things like that. But now we're starting to see people, you know, really picking up things into another notch. Like SHZ is now sitting at 23 frags, and honestly, that quad kill probably, you know, ignited the spark a bit more for these guys, and that could have been it. That could be enough here for them to get things over. This is the series point, so this round, and then things are done for this best of one. Man, oh man, Corinthians have a lot of pressure on this. Full utility. What do they do?
Let's outside control has been very kind to them. They've tried a couple times now to pop upward, but it hasn't been giving them enough real estate, honestly. So maybe just go back to what's been working, and that's been that outside control. Instead, this time around, they're just going to throw the waterfall smoke onto the top of Mini and not throw the wall of smokes, but there it is. In the meantime, ABR has tried again to go down in the lower. That doesn't net him anything, and Fast gets himself another as well. ZQK plucks Cuts out of the sky, and blink and you miss it. It's a 4v2 for Corinthians to hold on in regulation, send us to overtime, or it's Amigos by the skin of their teeth to net themselves the 2-0.
So much pressure riding on this again. The 4-on-2 right now, the advantage for the Migos, and these guys are grouped up together. SHZ now changing up his position. There is full utility from these guys, so now he's just going for the spot. Good information gained, so now they have a full inkling of what's going on here. But what do the Corinthians do with this? They have the one smoke with the molly, plenty of flashes, but they're going to have to make sure they get this duel. They need to get rid of this threat in this lower site if that's what they want to do. Biding some time, 30 seconds remaining now. To see where they can go. Lots of nades being used. Yeah, they're definitely banking on this. They have to go for this now. Time is dwindling. And SHZ in a strong position, and this could be everything. A dagger to the heart, especially on Valentine's Day, and the Amigos are going to be able to take this with a 13-11, and they make it scrappy, but they'll get it done.
Close but no cigar there last. It's just such a sliver of hope there for the Corinthians, and it kept blooming, and you kept thinking, this is the time. This is the time for the Corinthians to show what they have against some of the best in South America, and if they can't get it done, the Amigos get their act together when they needed it the most, when their backs were against the wall. SHG taking matters into his own hands. Zeke